Welcome to another Quantum Conversation. I'm Loren Gailey, and I invite you to sit back as we enter the quantum realm, that space of the greater part of you. It is your connection to infinite possibilities, infinite potential, and infinite mastery.
Hi, beautiful hearts. Thank you so much for being here. We are really excited to have you with us. We have an urgent message from the creator beings. And Alicia Power has been working with the creator beings for over 30 years now. Alicia, what is going on? Tell us.
Hi everyone. I just first of all I want to say that the creative beings that I work with that I channel asked me to put this fluffy jumper on today with all these colors to cheer everybody up. It's like, come on, let's be joyful.
Yes, let's
So
be joyful.
let's be
Yes.
joyful. So the it's really beautiful that the resonance that they want to talk about today is very much actually very sort of hopeful and very joyful. And yeah, they want to put their case for why. And the colors are a representation of the possibilities, the infinite possibilities, as your beautiful intro was saying. Hey everyone, hello, hello. I am so excited to be here today. I'm excited to be with you, Loren. I'm excited to be with everybody on this call. And because we're all in our little silos, in our lives, and then we get on together as a group. And there is so much power collectively with all of us as souls, with that infinite possibilities. Like we're all looking into this physical dimension as souls. And the power of each one of our souls is pretty or much infinite. And that's the most extraordinary thing, that the physical dimension, the reality screen that we're looking into, has wondrous possibilities. It's got qualities and characteristics that we as souls are learning how to play with. The characteristics of your reality screen. Okay, everybody, there's a little snapshot there, freeze frame of that phrase. Hey, look, if I am a soul and I'm an infinite soul looking into this physical dimension and looking into a holographic movie screen, what are the characteristics of that movie screen? How can I imprint my consciousness onto that movie screen, right? We all talk about this, manifestation, all that sort of stuff, law of attraction, etc., etc. And the creator beings, want to talk about that. They want to talk about how powerful we are. They want to talk about the possibilities, those infinite possibilities. And so, yeah, they are looking at the dial of hope inside of us. Now, currently, of course, if we do a snapshot of current resonance, the electromagnetics that's flowing behind the screen, behind the movie screen, and all of us souls who have incarnated, and we are like little tiny little birds going, help, 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 somebody feed me, I'm really vulnerable, help, help, help. Things look like they're going out of control. Where's mummy? Where's daddy? Come and save us, right? Give us some food, right? That feeling of being a little baby bird. It's like sometimes we can feel fragile and vulnerable and feeling like everything's out of control. Right. So I'm just letting these creative beings talk me at the moment. I have no idea what they're about to say, by the way, today. This is one of the reasons why I'm really excited to come on this call. It's like, okay, let's all stand under the waterfall of the light of the creator beings and let them talk and let them share. Because they are creator beings, just really quickly, these creator beings oversee all universes, not just some multi-universes, not just this universe, but all universes. These guys are overseers. They're very, very high in spirit authority. I've been playing with them, chatting with them clearly, and partnering with them in energy healing for over 30 years. We're a little partnership and they talk me. So I'm just letting them talk. It's so exciting. I can't wait for their message today. So they're saying, everyone, we can feel very vulnerable currently in the electromagnetics. If we look at what's showing up on the planet, it looks absolutely chaotic. And that's the characteristic of those flows that are like those big ocean currents behind the electromagnetic, behind the physical movie screen, of both light and shadow playing out together, pushing up against each other. And the characteristic of one of the main characteristics of shadow is chaos. It just loves pushing you off center, off focus, off, yeah, feeling centered, off feeling connected. It pushes you off that. It muddies the screen. It wants to help make you feel desperate, uncomfortable, out of control, exhausted, all those words, right? So that's its characteristic. That's its software, and that's what it generates inside of our electromagnetics and also what shows up on the external movie screen. But there's this story, there's a backstory to this, to what's happening right now, and that is a crescendoing. And this is what's fun to hear, and that these amazing creative beings are getting me to say this right now. What's fun is that there is a backstory, and they have been planning this for a very long time, and they've been part of the planning, part of the sort of rolling out of their agenda is drip feeding and sometimes not drip feeding. I've been working with groups for decades now, partnering with groups of these creative beings, pumping very high authority, spirit authority light into Mother Earth's electromagnetic fields, going in, locating places where shadow is lodged and kind of concreted, breaking up that concrete, kicking it out, siphoning it out, vacuuming it out. We do a lot of this work in groups, and we've been doing this for decades. So they've been pumping what they call high spirit authority light. Spirit authority meaning very, very high intelligence. Authority is a good word because it means it's got power. And the higher you go in spirit authority, the more power it has. And so that kind of light downloading as software into Mother Earth's electromagnetics, also into kind of subliminally into the background fields of the collective of humanity. It's kind of like it creates a domino effect of stirring, of clearing, vacuuming, right? When you get a vacuum cleaner out in a really dusty room, the dust can, kind of like just all blow up anyway. So they've been doing this for a very long time. They're rolling this out. Shadow communities of shadow, like horrible, horrendous communities of shadow that have had an agenda of their own to corral humanity, to shut humanity down, to freeze, what it feels like to freeze souls or freeze humanity so that humanity feels powerless. It's had those kind of communities have had that sort of agenda for a very, very long time in this space of Mother Earth, of humanity in this hologram that we're all collectively experiencing. They've had that agenda for a very long time. And so this kind of light from these creative beings, when it penetrates down through the clouds and starts concrete drilling, right, down into that concrete, down into where all these shadow communities were really set up for a very long time, it just kicks them out, it flushes them out and vacuums them out, right out, and transmutes them back into light. A lot of work's happened over the decades. And what we're seeing now is a playing out of an extraordinary sort of game plan, of an extraordinary sort of, really deliberate clean out. I've got these cockatoos that are screeching outside my window. It's so funny. You guys probably can't hear them. Anyway, so
Yes, we do not
right,
hear it.
yeah. So right now in this moment it's like somebody's got a box and they're just shaking it, and everything is being popped out. Everything's being kind of seen, which is the big word, seen. One of the reasons that's a big word for these creative beings, and are kind of like putting a pause on that word. And why is that important? Is because collectively humanity can be very blind, can be very shut down, can be very frozen, can be very disempowered. You know, every individual can feel like this, which is, hey, I'm just a lone person. I haven't got much power. Um, there's these big events that happen around me. It's got nothing to do with me, etc., etc. There's that feeling of aloneness. There's that feeling of not connecting to big outcomes and feeling really disempowered. And so, just catching my thread here where I was going. So these teams are describing a moment where what's happening is that they've been feeding in this very, very high light into the collective of humanity. And this highlight triggers something. It triggers deep in the unconscious. Guys, it's flowing. It's just flowing through the collective field of humanity. We're part of that. It's not only soaked into me or into the groups that we've been hanging out together and allowing these massive infusions of very high spirit authority light, but it's also touched, we all know it's a quantum existence, it's touched in that background field, in that collective field. It's touching everything and everyone, and it's intelligent. And it's very much like a kicking off of the first domino. It triggers awakening. It triggers higher intelligence. It is a software, and in the best way possible, it's viral. Just like actually shadow can be viral as well. And because software is software. By the way, everybody, electromagnetics, of course, we all understand as a science. Subtle spirit light is a science. The whole spirit world understands how to work that kind of light software. We don't, because we haven't stuck our attention into the spirit worlds and learnt how to work with it that much. Some of us might be a little bit down that road with learning that. But these guys are masters, right? These spirit communities are masters, and especially these creative beings are masters. And I'm describing here a science. They understand software. They understand light software. So, and they understand how to intend or to embed intention into the software of those light codes. And from their point of view, from their senior authority point of view, the kind of intention that gets downloaded or gets embedded into the software, that's then sort of flown through all those collective fields of humanity. It's exciting just for a start, right? If we just step back for a minute, that creative beings showed up about 30 years ago and started this process. That's exciting. And what's exciting is they're saying right now that this is deliberate and that the chaos that's happening at the moment is deliberate. And the other thing that they want to say in that context is they've got their hands on this. And I'm saying it kind of enthusiastically right now, like the way I'm talking. And many people listening to this kind of go, well, I don't really know you because I haven't heard you talk before, or I've never heard about the creative beings before, and that's kind of interesting, you know. And I just want to say that the worlds of spirit are populated with, we all understand this, with many, many communities of very capable and powerful spirit beings. And the entire spirit world is designed and structured in a mentoring structure. So there's beings really high that mentor those below them, that mentor those below them, that mentor, and it keeps going down and down and down and down. There's the whole dynamic of the spirit world is based on a mentoring structure, which is an interesting thought for all of you guys listening to this, and even for me just to contemplate for a moment. And in a way, it helps all of us realize that we're not alone, that we are being completely mentored from the back end, right? From sort of like because this is the front end from the back end. My spirit being and your spirit being is being mentored. Yeah, we know this logically. We're all kind of spiritual dudes. We understand all this, but it's beautiful just to hear it from the front end, from our logic, to hear that being mentored, someone is watching your thoughts. You're not alone in this experience. You're not alone as a spirit being at all. Never. And just having that thought is comforting, just for a start. And then there's the collective of humanity, and these spirit beings, these creative beings are wanting to say right now, they're wanting to say right now this thing. Do you think that they would allow these collections of souls, this whole collective of souls, to not be mentored? So they're saying, of course not. The whole thing is being mentored, and it's being puppeteered and ushered into this whole dynamic, is being ushered into a moment to help humanity, to help as many souls as possible feel empowered. We can see that to quite a interesting extent, where there's movement towards empowerment, because there's a propensity to feel disempowered. Oh my God, it's too much. It's too scary. And then there's a moment of, oh, I'm starting to feel empowered and starting to feel hope. Just recently, there were pivot points in that whole dynamic, and you could call it sort of big flows of light and big flows of shadow in the background, and how they were all playing out. And just recently, these creative beings are saying right now, there was a pivot point where shadow was trying to become dominant, where shadow was trying to own the space, own the consciousness, the collective consciousness of humanity. And these creative beings are saying right now that that pivot point has passed. That moment of correction has passed. We've moved through it, almost like moving through a portal. Remember, this physical reality doesn't exist. There's just energy. And that energy has hands on it, spirit hands on it. Whether it's shadow hands or hands of light, pushing, someone trying to be dominant, someone trying to own that space of consciousness, of collective consciousness. And then there's this pool of human souls, souls that have incarnated into this human experience. There's a little pool of them, collection, 8 billion at the moment. And they are being ushered through a portal past the dominance of shadow into a moment of empowerment and into feeling empowered. This kind of, and they're telling me to say right now, the texture of feeling empowered, the kind of, yeah, the sort of noticing that you're feeling empowered. It's like a texture. It's like they're saying that is miraculous because those infinite possibilities can just pour out in multiple directions, multiple possibilities, just from that moment of moving into a feeling of empowerment. And that as a collective, but also that personally for you as an individual, feeling empowered. So in the energy worlds, in the subtle spirit worlds, feeling and subtle feelings are what they're all looking for. They're all looking for that as a learning, as a decision. That's what they're looking for, they're hoping for. They've got their video cameras waiting for a little shift in feeling. Isn't that interesting? Guys, even if I stop there, that's so interesting for all of us to go, oh my gosh, that's what the whole spirit world has got their video cameras on each one of us, watching us in that mentoring dynamic, waiting for that feeling of feeling empowered. And it is individual. It is you noticing that inside yourself. Am I feeling disempowered or feeling empowered? It sounds so small. It sounds so like nothing. But they understand how your external reality movie screen works. They understand how it works because they were involved in generating it, in manufacturing it, in constructing it. So they understand how it works, and they understand that it works completely on that internal pivot of you feeling empowered or disempowered.
Mm.
We call it, just really quickly, we call it feeling fear or love, right? We've got those sort of terminologies around that. But when the spirit world puts its finger on the thing that makes the difference on your external movie screen is your internal inner position. And it's a feeling of feeling empowered or disempowered. So if there's anything that you take from this talk today, is just that of realizing that on the inside, if you're feeling jittery, if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling stressed, if you're feeling angry, if you're feeling discomfort on the inside, we've got some words to put on that, on all those. But the spirit world kind of sometimes puts the words aside, and they see that as the internal, when they look at that feeling of jitteriness or feeling discomfort, what they see is a map of electromagnetics, and they see a whole variety of resonances and frequencies. And some of those will be shadow influence inside of you. All of us have them. We pick them up as we walk down the road. And that's what they play with. They can vacuum that out. They can just dissolve a lot of those, and you come back to the integrity of feeling settled and comfortable. Notice I'm using words that are so simple. I'm using words that are simple, but they are pointing at a map of resonance inside yourself, because that is what's generating your movie screen. So I want to say, everyone, we logically know this. We've heard this a lot, but you are controlling your movie screen by that internal map of resonances. And we've heard this for years, right? So, and we all understand this, but they're slowing this down and they're forcing us to notice that we are the movie projectors. And I know it's like, we can get really sort of annoyed at hearing that, because there's a really big world out there, and there's a lot of external realities that are showing up on our movie screen that we feel disempowered by or uncomfortable that they're happening on our external movie screen. And the creative beings are saying, yeah, but actually the entire energetic reality, the entire energetic quantum universe is designed, and also this beautiful experience that you're having of being a human being, looking into a physical hologram, looking into a pretend world. Oh my God, what a great phrase that is, a pretend world, an imagination world. You know, they're saying there is a sort of dynamic of responsibility. There is a situation of responsibility. And the other thing that they want to add to this, just very quickly, is that there are spirit mentors standing behind you, helping you with your internal map of frequencies and helping you radiate as a projector, as a movie projector, onto your movie screen. You're not alone in that. So that, again, is a beautiful thing. Let's just see where else they're going with this. They're just wanting you to know that you're not alone in the job of projecting your reality and creating realities on your movie screen. And it's a controversial thing to say that you're the one who's creating your reality and on your movie screen. in one way, even though we've been hearing it for years. It's kind of controversial because it's like, you know, don't tell me that I'm responsible for all the terrible things that are going on the planet that we're reading about in the news or seeing on the news. You know, a part of your brain goes, oh my God, don't tell me that. So anyway, it's a little bit controversial, and they're saying, guys, it's just how the quantum energetics works. It's just how the movie screen works. It's physics. It's science. Okay, so having said that, they also want to say, and this is what they want to sort of reveal today, is that yes, there are giant currents, and you could call them beings, or you could call them, they're in a way, they're much bigger than just beings. They are, I call them flows and like currents, like giant currents of shadow frequencies, resonances, very high up, that are influencing, that are also influencing, and trying to sort of infuse their resonance, infuse their energy in kind of, if you could imagine that human souls, human beings, Mother Earth are in this kind of bubble. It's really interesting. Human beings with souls looking through their eyes, 8 billion of us, into a collective reality that includes a physical Mother Earth, but of course she's also an electromagnetic being, right? If you step into the spirit worlds, you'd see her as an energy being. So, and these creator beings are saying, imagine that all of us as a collective and Mother Earth are in this bubble, and the spirit world is looking in, and there's an ownership battle going on. As I mentioned earlier, who's going to own the space? Who's going to own that collective movie screen, if you like? So the creator beings are saying definitely there are these characters, these shadow characters that are very high, vast beings, and they are, to them, it's a game. It's just a game. Interestingly, and because I deal with these vast flows, these vast currents, when I fly into the worlds of spirit with these creator beings and partner with them, and we almost daily, I'm using my human perception as a periscope for them, to use my free will to give them permission to transmute these huge currents. That's some of my work. So I'm kind of noticing these huge shadow currents pretty much daily and how they operate. And that's why it's interesting for me to say that they regard this collective experiment of human souls generating realities in this bubble, right, in this quantum bubble. They regard it as just a game where they can, because they're so high, where they can just muck with it and play with it and do something mischievous with it and sort of infuse some of their high frequency or just influence it. And some of my work with the creator beings has been locating these huge currents and transmuting them. The creator beings are way above them. They've got the authority to transmute them, and it happens really fast because of that authority. Thank goodness. So someone is keeping some of that clean in the backgrounds, right? Someone's looking at that. Someone's operating at that level and supporting our collective experiment, supporting humanity, because there's an agenda. The agenda is for humanity to move through a portal, to move through a pivot point into empowerment. So the agenda is helping humanity get strong, helping humanity make choices, helping humanity come to a point of being very clear, seeing really clearly what shadow is, and then choosing about that, making some choices. And it's not an intellectual experience. It's not an intellectual process. It can't be intellectual. It has to be You know, if a bully in the schoolyard pushes you, you push them back, or you get your big brother to push them back. It's what I'm trying to say here is it's a direct experience, and we've all just been through and are still in observing a direct experience of being pushed, of someone kind of what's the word, viscerally, like actually, you know, it's not an intellectual conversation. Someone's actually pushing you. You're actually feeling it. You're feeling the presence of shadow, and it's uncomfortable, and you want to push back. This is one of the reasons why I encourage people to work with the creator beings, because these directly, because the creator beings have the authority with whatever's happening to you in your life to clean it up, because they've got this, it's like seeing this laser light coming down and just shifting the frequencies quickly in your personal aura, in your personal map of frequencies. They to assess it and very quickly to transmute and repattern it really, really fast, to reconstruct anything that's endemic in your auric field that's sort of coming from past lives, maybe like old shadow influences. Anyway, so it's useful to have a connection with the creator beings. I don't hold this for myself. I always offer it to anybody who wants to start working with the creator beings. It's really important to have a partnership which is high authority. It is like having the big brother on the schoolyard, right, who can come really quickly in and intervene and put you back on your feet, but also to calm the waters, calm the waters in on that schoolyard so that everybody's calm again. And it's all about in that background quantum space, calming everything down. I just want to just notice if there's anything else in that specific that the creator beings want to say. Won't be a moment. Yeah, they about the background quantum space. They really wanting everyone to realize that it's a very big world in that spirit world, and there's huge influences, and like very powerful, with power influences. Won't be a second. Just tuning in. And what they're wanting to say is some of those influences have been around for a very long time, actually, connecting with the dynamics of humanity. As they were saying earlier, it's quite embedded. Communities embedded in the electromagnetic fields of Mother Earth, but also we all know, you know, star communities or galactic communities, but even higher than that, influencing the dynamics of this bubble that we're in, the collective of humanity, you know, the bubble that we are in. And they've been around for a very long time, and they're very, very powerful. And most of humanity doesn't have this conversation that we're having today. They have no idea that there's a spirit world. They have no idea that there are tribes in the spirit world. They have no idea that there are very high echelons of influence, echelons, layers and layers and layers and layers of authority that go ever higher in the worlds of spirit. And that relates to both light and shadow. So there's games being played very, very high up, and these games are super powerful, super influential. Just remember that the worlds of spirit are a soup of energy. It's a soup of energy. It's an electromagnetic quantum soup of energy. And intention is instantaneous. Intention, it's a non-local space. There's no time and space in the quantum, in the spirit worlds. And intention from very high up, authority layers, both light and shadow, flows very quickly and influences very directly any coordinate point it wants to with its intention. So it's very powerful. And us as humans, we need to understand this. We need to be educated about that kind of power. And we need to be educated about that the worlds of spirit are real and that they have their hands on our thoughts, on our feelings, on this is both light and sometimes shadow, connecting with us and influencing. Now, and that involves people in leadership. You know, there are strong souls and there are weak souls, and weak souls have open gateways where shadow so easily can own the space in someone. And there are certain characteristics that show up with that person, the way that they talk, the way that they think, the way that they project, the way they perceive, the kind of perception lens they have. So individuals, of course, can carry, it's like being a portal or a gateway for very high shadow, being a gateway for it. And global leadership, right? For me, if you do have a position of leadership that's very high profile, unfortunately, you know, if you are a strong soul of light, you can maintain that strength of light just as a soul, it's the caliber of your soul, and be an effective leader and be someone that leads from the heart and from heart intelligence. Or if you're a weak soul, unfortunately, you know, that gate door can just fall open and something else can start using you to create chaos. When you hear that kind of explanation, and I'm someone who's very experienced at this dynamic, at these dynamics and understanding what's happening with any individual, with any human, very experienced, looking into the worlds of spirit, chatting with my spirit team so that they look and see what's going on and tell me and show me. I'm really experienced with this. So when you hear someone like me talking and describing this, it's not just an idea, you know, it's not just a possibility. It's actually how everything works, how everything is run. In our own families and social circles, we know of people who have got shadow flowing through them, whether we like it or not. They're just, every now and again, you notice that there's influence coming, that sort of influence coming through someone. And the reason I'm describing this is that it's real. This is real. So we're looking into our human communities, and the purpose of my describing this is for you to see what the truth is. Because when you see what the truth is about a human, you're less disempowered. I don't know. It's like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of an analogy. If you're in a jiu-jitsu competition and you're standing on the area where you're about to tussle with your opponent, but the opponent hasn't arrived yet, and they arrive and trick you and come from the back, right? Then you're a bit disempowered in that moment because you're caught unaware. But if they come towards you from the front and you sort of see where they're coming from and who they are, you're prepared. It's a little bit like that. When you know the truth of what's happening with a human, it means that you can sidestep them, deal with the energy that's coming from them, understand it so you're not on the back foot and out of control. Lots of things. When you see something for what it truly is, you can deal with it with clarity, with empowerment. That's the reason I'm describing this for everybody. Let me just see. Lorraine, do you have a question?
This is very, very interesting. And a question that may come up would be, wow, so how would we identify? I think we can all suspect how we would identify. It's if someone is in their mind versus their heart, or if they're just caught up in chaos, right? And they're just, maybe unconscious. My question is, how do we know what aspects of shadow are within ourselves? And how do we choose the light over the shadow?
So the last question, how do we choose the light over the shadow? For me, my response to that as a technician, when I look at a human and that human is portraying characteristics of shadow coming through them. And I'm just going to say it happens to me too. It happens to all of us to certain degrees. So none of us are exempt, you know, but it happens in degrees. Like, anyway, so if I looked at someone like a friend and they're unusually troubled, or I can tell that they're a little bit depressed, or someone who normally is in a normal state of mind, but they're suddenly feeling or talking in negative terms, in despondent terms. To me, that's a wiring job. I love saying that. It's a wiring job as a technician. So I will work with my spirit teams, let them have a look at the wiring, let them have a look at the map of frequencies in that person, and just simply reconstruct the frequencies and pull out the shadow. And that person snaps back to the guidelines and comes back literally within moments to not having a negative framework. Their base self is no longer negative, because the shadow that's populating their aura and has sort of taken over the perception lens is no longer there. And their natural light and their natural heart they can connect again to their heart and feel their heart again. So just on that kind of surface where it's a gentle situation versus someone where shadow is deeply embedded and their soul really almost has been kicked out, and there's shadow beings have just set up shop in that person almost permanently. That's a very different kind of a human. And there are characteristics, in a way, shadow is boringly predictable. The characteristics of shadow, where, say, if it's a human and they are quite deeply embedded with shadow. So shadow is controlling that person's feelings, it's controlling that person's lens of perception, and it's controlling that person's thoughts and what it wants to say. And shadow will trigger that person into a misperception, and the person, shadow will shadow wants to create pain in the person in front of it, right? So it'll choose a misperception, so the person will feel like they're getting hurt where they haven't. You might have sneezed. I sometimes use that. It's just something innocent, where you do something innocent, but the person perceives as though you've hurt them. And it's a misperception. And shadow loves to try and control that person's brains, that person's brain and thoughts, get them to say something that amazingly, psychically, touches you, who's standing in front of them, in a way that's very deeply hurtful. And it hurts you psychically. It hurts you. It kind of connects with a soul wound almost in you. that person, the shadow person, would never know how to do that. It's it's like a highly intelligent shadow being inside that person uses their brain, uses their thoughts and their words to touch you and to hurt you. So that's how shadow works. And to me, if that ever happens to me, I'm instantly kind of gauging the level of shadow in that person. Excuse me, just got to clear my throat. Yeah, by my feeling of hurt, if that ever happens to me. I'm describing that, slowing that down so that you understand that there are levels of shadow that can be in someone, or it can be just a light infection with shadow that can be pulled out pretty quickly, using your spirit mentors and buddies when you're chatting with them to take a look at somebody's map of resonances and frequencies and just quickly pull it out. Or it can be a pretty serious situation where someone's really embedded. Let's have a look at a few more characteristics. So they'll say something that really deeply hurts you. They are misperceiving that they're being hurt. a lot of the time, and so they're trying to sort of punch back out, when in fact nobody's hurting them at all. Let me just see. It's like they're a cat on a hot tin roof. They're in rage. The resonance of rage usually is just sitting and simmering. For me, just really quickly talking as a technician, the resonance of rage is like a patch of software that can be pulled out. If it's happening to someone who's not normally like that, and they've got this real rage, the spirit world can really easily just reach in and pull that out, and that file file of software is just gone, and that person's no longer in that rage and that simmering. It's plasticine. Like the spirit world can work with your map of frequencies like plasticine. They can just pull that stuff out. But if a soul is really weak and, quite a few very dark, huge patches of software are just running that person and controlling them, and it's nearly permanent, I wouldn't be around a person like that, just because there's just a lot of damage that starts happening to me, if possible. But and that's a much more serious job for my spirit teams to do, where they have to go in and make an assessment of the hierarchy of those shadow beings, take a look at who that is that's sitting in there, and do some deal making, pull a lot of those beings out, right? So it's a really focused moment with my guides, and sometimes it's even too full of shadow for me to even do that quickly. That's a really big job if I decide to do it, something like that. So there's just these gradients and levels of occupation. So yeah, I don't know. I don't often talk about that, but I think it's very important to talk about that because it can happen in our personal lives, and it's of course playing out on the global stage. And so this world is made up of frequencies and of software, and our consciousness is made up of frequencies and software. And and there are teams of spirit communities that are connected to each of us, and even higher teams that are playing the game behind the scenes for humanity, right? Puppeteering all those resonances, huge flows and clouds of resonances. So it's a very big world in the worlds of spirit. And we as individual humans, I think, need to take the shutters off our eyes and be very smart about our personal hygiene, our psychic hygiene, keeping, we all understand this, keeping our aura buoyant and clean and light, keeping our mental hygiene, keeping an eye on our mental hygiene, keeping an eye on any negative thoughts, keeping our eye on any rage
Wow.
frequencies inside of us. To me, that's darkness. As soon as somebody's feeling rage, darkness loves rage. it's
Wow.
it's it's like this, like a magnet, um, because it likes to amplify it. If something triggers you, and that rage starts to amplify and amplify, where you're putting your attention on, say, reading an article or watching something where somebody's in rage, say on YouTube or something, I don't know, but you're catching it because it's viral software. You're catching their rage. It's
Yeah.
downloading into you, and it just sits there quietly, simmering away, and you notice that you're very reactive. You notice that you're hating things. That word, you're hating things, and you're just lost in a story, and you're wanting to just head out, and right.
That
It's
seems to be par for the course so far this year for many people. So that's nothing That and so is there a program that's on high to pressure humans? Or, because it's like, wow. So maybe there is a program that's on high because it's all causing people to look at things and be kind of like, wow, how could this be happening? So, for example, with what we've got going on, we've got war, scary things going on, and that could frighten people, and it can also make them depressed, and it can also make them angry. So the good news, the flip side is this is something that can be extracted out of us. All we need to do is be very aware. Is that
Mm.
right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
So there's empowered anger. Um, and then there's rage, and it's so subtle, but boy, it can move easily into a disempowered rage,
Okay.
where it's almost like a viral, out of control emotion, which is, it's really interesting because, so I would invite everybody listening to this and watching this to notice if you're slightly out of control, with that rage is enveloping you and it's starting to control you, versus, if you'd had a nice deep meditation and you're really still and you're really calm and you're really centered, and then you think about some of the horrible, crappy things that are happening on the planet, and you see them for what they are and they're true and for what it's happening, but you're not out of control in rage. The
Okay.
emotion isn't there. You're seeing the truth of them, and you can operate out of a still point, out of a centeredness, out of a clarity. That's very different than being enveloped in rage. Very different state, guys. And so remember how the creative beings were talking earlier about your inner sanctuary, your inner sanctum, your inner pivot point of what's showing up on the reality screen, and how they pointed at that, said that is everything. That's absolutely everything. It's not a small thing. When we put our attention on how am I feeling, is something controlling me? Is an emotion controlling me? And that's very much why meditation is so important at the moment, just to calm the waters, bring the stillness back, bring us back out of fear, out of rage, out of this kind of ripping, tearing, destructive. It's very easy to be controlled, you guys, by a software, meaning your thoughts, your feelings, your inner stability point, it all being controlled by a software. And Lorraine, you're saying it absolutely true. It is software. So the spirit world can help you in a moment like that. If you're not normally, like if you're not clinically depressed, right? Or that's not your normal state. You're just normally beautiful light worker. You love, you love the heart, you love to love. And you're finding yourself in an uncontrollable rage and it's consuming you. Definitely. I always say, guys, solution, I'm always saying this, lie down, go horizontal. It's easier for the spirit world to go in and start working with you because everything calms down when you go horizontal. Lie in your bed. And I always say, ask, this is for people who haven't done my work before, just use this term, Alicia's spirit surgeons. Term to call in those to come and look at your auric field and find and point at the thing that's triggering you, the emotion that's out of control, the flame, the fire that's out of control, excuse me, in you. And they will work on that software and siphon it out, vacuum it out. Guys, so important to know that this is software. Just like you were saying, Lorraine, it can be just pulled out. And you can much more easily sit and do a meditation and have the calmness to bring back all those electromagnetic fields back into stillness. Because you could be sitting down to meditate and it's just not working because there's so much software flying and flowing through your auric field. So because you're still concentrating your mind, you've put your attention on the fact that you're going to try and get still because you're sitting and meditating. Great moment to put your focus on your spirit guides, ask them to come in and do a scan and an assessment and to pull out what is irritating you, what is not letting you settle, because it's all deep in the unconscious. So it behoves all of us to be observing subtle unconscious dynamics that are happening in us. Let's get good at that. Let's put our video camera attention on, yeah, anything that's erupting, anything that's just unsettled at the base, and know that that's software and it's in that map of frequencies, and they can go in and just very quickly see it and pull it out. And you'll really, it's just incredible. It's like your whole being just becomes calm as these softwares get pulled out. It's just amazing, completely amazing how that works. And then your thinking changes, and then there's a viability to your capability of envisioning a better world, better possibilities for yourself. There's a strength in your hope and the way that you think about yourself and the way that you think about the world. And again, guys, I'm just pointing at it again, that inner platform, so subtle, and where you're coming from changes, and that just starts populating your reality screen. It's everything. I just will say it again and again and again. That inner platform is everything, everybody. Lorraine, did you want to say something?
No, thank you for that, because it really is empowering when we can look internally so well. We can be immaculate with our frequency, with our vibration. And it's been interesting because if we're not paying attention, then it can kind of take over. So the good news is that we can shift this. We can shift our frequency. We can ask and we can receive that assistance and watch what happens. Thank you. So this is wonderful. And we want to have you take us into a mini activation right now, or put us in front of a creator being, Alicia. Thank you for that journey.
I do want to mention something just very quickly before we do have this beautiful audience with a creator being. And the creator beings have got a very important message, and that they are in control and that they are moving the collective of humanity, all of us as a family, towards a moment of what they call freedom. And that is freedom from fear. So they are moving all of us into a collective empowerment, a decision. And, as one does watch the news, and different groups around the world, how they're reacting to this ricocheting chaos at the moment, and watching just groups in leadership and what they're doing, what they're moving towards, what kind of choices they're making. They are representative of a collective, and incredible collectives around the world, as we all know, are coming together and making a noise and voicing what they want in an empowered way, in a heartfelt way, in a strong way. There's this beautiful global collective rising up. Just really quickly, with the protests in the US, I'm in Australia, but in the protests in the US, there were protests around the world, in support of the US protests. So it's a global mind almost, looking at what's happening and speaking up. And the worlds of spirit are watching, genuinely watching in real time, and they are helping. This is the key point. They've got their hands inside the collective of humanity, and they're helping humanity move into a position of empowerment. This is the really important moment that the spirit world is disclosing this to you guys watching today. They are helping humanity as a global collective move into empowerment. I'm very excited about that, hearing that. And that's the truth. They're saying they're saying that's easy for them. It's easy for them to have their hands in the collective. It's easy for them to, this is the beings of light. It's easy for them to gently move with humanity in its choices. And that's what they're doing. They're disclosing that. It's so beautiful. All right, everybody. Right, let's go. Let's play. Let's have a beautiful moment in front of one of these high creator beings. So just taking a deep breath, everyone, down into the tummy, closing your eyes. We're going to go on a very short journey. I'd like you to switch on pretend mode and just switch on your imagination and imagine that there's a being of love and light standing in front of you, an angelic being. And this is a helper being. This is not a creator being. It's a being who's going to help us travel. I'd like you to step forward and give this being a hug and allow yourself to be hugged by this beautiful angelic being of love. And instantly feel yourself starting to elevate. And both of you, because you're still in the arms of your angel, both of you are suddenly wrapped in a column of light and you're moving upwards, heading up this column of light, wrapped in the arms of an angel, traveling upwards. And above us is like a membrane, a sky of energy. And we're moving up just below where that energetic membrane is, pushing up into it, and now pushing up above it. And this is a beautiful spirit space where we are. Wow. And instantly, excuse me, imagine that there's a circle of beings, of light beings around you. And you step out of the arms of your angel. Your angel moves to one side. Oh my gosh. I can feel so much love in this space. And coming towards you is a very tall being of light. And this is a creator being. And they've got their hand stretched out to you. And I'd like you to imagine yourself stretching your hand out and holding their hand, feeling their hand. It's just a metaphor. And in this moment, I'd love you to look at their face, like if they had a face, and no need to be, to try and see it too clearly, just pretend. And in this moment, we're moving quite quickly. In this moment, I'd like you to talk to this being and tell them anything that's troubling you about your life, anything that you feel you would love this being or the worlds of spirit to help you with, to lift you, to love you more with, to shift you, to rewire you, to lift your perspective maybe, to strengthen so that you can feel more empowered around something. So let's have this moment where you are dialoguing and telling this being what you need. And when you finish talking, listen just very quickly, very quietly, with a lot of focus and tuning in and noticing what this being is just sending you as a feeling. And some of you, if you're feeling a little bit down, invite this being to reach into you and pull out any fear or stress or anxiety that you might be having. All right, everyone, taking a deep breath. You can thank the creator being if you want to, just holding their hand and squeeze their hand. And put your forehead to this being's forehead just as a moment of thank you, really, for having this moment with them. And you can come back here anytime, spend time with this being, use this recording to come back and have just this beautiful out of time, out of space-time connection with a powerful spirit being who can see your map of frequencies and who's a creator being who can create realities that support you. So when you're ready, you can open your eyes.
Wow. Thank you for that. I had to lie down. And in just those few moments, I am feeling so much better. Wow, I had some shadow. I had some stuff. I had some junk. Wow, we're all human, and it's like it can kind of freak me out, but this feels really good. I truly hope others are feeling the jubilation, the light, the freedom. Wow, I feel free. I feel courageous again. And so I answered my own question. And so it's nothing, we shouldn't be overly scared or frightened of the light or frightened of that shadow, but instead be like, all right, it's game on, because I know this is not me and this is something within me. Get your head on straight, clean up, do the cleanup job, call on the creator beings, right? And so, wow. And it was so subtle, but it was like a dissolving. It was like a liquid light. It was just it was beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. I hope others feel this. What do you
I just
think?
looked at your smile. I looked at your smile, Lorraine, when you came back on.
Yeah.
And it was like this big smile. It was like, okay, radiant, shining, heart,
I'm like,
light.
I'm ready.
Came back. You've come
I
back.
know. Okay. Thank you. Well, this shows us the speed at which this can happen,
Speed.
the ease at which it can happen. And the way we feel on the flip side is really, it should become like, like I can feel the rewiring where we will be so entrenched, or we will be so accustomed to what the goodness is, that when that little, it's like we're reversing things, because when that little, we can go, oh, okay, maybe it's just because of this, or I read something, or I saw something that didn't sit right. But when we really do that cleanup work and we pull the junk out, that is where that, as you were saying, that's our empowerment, that's our alignment. Ah, that's the word, alignment. Does that resonate with you? Is it like our
Mm,
trueness comes out, our
yeah,
authenticness?
that's it. That's exactly right. The true you can sit comfortably in the driver's seat, not the software, not the shadow software in the driver's seat, right? The true you
Yes.
in the driver's seat, running your thoughts, running your emotions.
Uh-huh.
Exactly.
Okay, so thank you for this. We've got beautiful comments. We've got our YouTube comments saying, yay, it's great. And we've got our Zoom saying it's so wonderful. And what I'd like to really encourage everyone to do right now is consider joining us on in a few days, where it's going to be Calm the Waters. This is etheric spirit surgery that you will be doing, Alicia. I'm going to drop the link in our broadcast stations so people can check that out. But why don't you tell us what we're going to be doing in this beautiful Calm the Waters etheric spirit surgery?
Calm the waters. All of these phrases come from the creator beings, and they're wanting to offer us a space with them, an entire hour of that speed, of them going in to our frequency maps, going in and finding fear from other existences that our soul has walked through, has passed through, soul lifetimes as a human, but also soul existences in very high spirit spaces before becoming human, where we've encountered shadow and it hurt us and it created sadness and fear as a software sitting somewhere deep in our soul history. And that can be being activated right at this moment with a lot of similar patterns showing up outside of us. On that movie screen, we're looking at these patterns of shadow, and it's triggering in us not just our human sadness or just our human fear, but it's triggering soul fear, soul level fear. So it could be something erupting very, very high up, and it could be causing us to feel very tired at the moment, lacking in energy, lacking in motivation, lacking in feeling capable, even as a light worker. Some people have been emailing me and giving me feedback that they feel like sort of giving up, or not so much giving up, but just questioning their capability and their effectiveness as a light worker at the moment, because it's pretty heavy, like the dynamics that are showing up on the movie screen, where shadows, the chaos is just whiplashing about, as we were saying before. And light workers can be feeling despondent. But some of that feeling of being despondent on the inside, that inner presence of that feeling, can be erupting from soul history, from soul wounds of encounters with shadow. And that is what the teams want to invite us into, a beautiful cocoon of safety where they're going to be like with precision lasers going in. You saw how fast that transmutation was right just now, with speed, but an entire hour. So they've got an entire hour to take a look in your soul archives, in your soul history. Wow. And just go from one to the next, and travel really deeply into moments like that in history, but also to really clean it up, like on a permanent, eternal level, where that soul wound is completely 100% cleaned up, so that there's no sort of resident frequency at all left there, because they know how to do that. They know, and really fast. They know how to just close doorways, close gateways, renegotiate with any shadow that had been involved in that moment. So it's quite complex. Anyway, a whole hour of them renovating your soul history, and for the purpose of you standing comfortably and strong and empowered at this moment, from deep inside your scaffolding, right? Deep inside your soul, light bodies, all stable, all comfortable and solid and strong. In this moment, showing up as a light worker, where you're not being triggered, where that trigger just doesn't activate any longer, and you're not feeling tired, you're feeling comfortable and empowered. Anyway, that's there. That's this Friday for the US, 9 p.m. ET, Eastern Standard. Yes, for me in Australia, it's going to be 11 a.m. Australian Standard Time. So, guys, come in, come in. The water's fine.
Yes, come in,
And
come
it's,
in. Go ahead, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and it's fast, like speed. This is the key thing with creative beings. You saw how fast that transmutation happened, the speed, the capability. They know what they're doing. They're telling me to say right now they're so motivated to to do this on as many human souls as possible, to strengthen the light bodies of human souls, to clean them out.
Strengthen your light body. We are being assisted with the creator beings. And I just want to share, you've done these in the past and they are spectacular. They are an incredible container of healing, and you can lie down to receive these. The evening time for those of us in the States and Europe is wonderful. And if you're in Australia, of course, it's your Saturday morning. But this allows us to really be in a luscious space that we can receive and then go to sleep afterwards. And you say only an hour, Alicia, but when you're in that space, there's really, you're outside of time. And so it can go a little over, but it's so beautiful and it's so lovely. And it is something that can be used again. So even if someone cannot do it live, this is like a digital, what do I want to call it? It's almost like a digital chiropractic session of light, or an acupuncture session of light with the creator beings. And we can go and use that recording again and again. And every time we do that recording, new things will happen, right? It'll be a
Yeah,
new cycle through our system. Yeah, for
yeah,
anything else that
yeah,
might pop up.
yeah, absolutely. These recordings are out of time and space. So
Yeah.
when you jump into the recording again, it's a new time, it's a new moment for your soul, whatever the need is for your soul in that moment. Um, and they're telling me to say right now that they've got a checklist of things to do that they can see
Uh, okay.
in all your soul wounds. And maybe they get four of the big ones done right in this session, um,
Okay.
and or five or something like that. The next one, they'll just move on to the next one because they know the pattern of your soul. They know the history of your soul, where it's been and what needs to be done. They're telling me there's so much needs to be done in these moments with you, concentrated moments of connecting with your soul mentors, a lot of your other soul mentors in the spirit world, for permissions and for their input of where your soul wants to grow next. There's so much goes on. So it's an amazing workplace. Amazing
Okay.
workplace.
Amazing. We are so looking forward to that. What a really special opportunity to receive incredible healing and energy work and feel clean and recharged and aligned and fresh. Yes, thank you for that, Alicia. We are so excited for that. Again, we've put the link for this in the Zoom box. We've put it on the YouTube description box in the chat on YouTube. And it's also the webpage that got you here. You'll be able to find that beautiful offering from Alicia. There's also another option that is a beautiful program at length called Advance Your Spirits, and you can check that out as well. You can read all about it We've had people share that these programs with Alicia are the real deal and they're very beneficial. So if you've not checked them out yet, we are excited to have you do that. Alicia, this is why we do what we do. Because when we get through the other side of the way we feel and we come back to this alignment, now we know the importance of this work that we're doing, and it actually makes us stronger and stronger. So thank you for this. As we wrap up our show, I want to give you a moment for final thoughts or a conclusion.
Thank you, Lorraine. Just a pleasure always to hang out with you and your audience. Such a pleasure. I just so always enjoy it. And we need it. I think we need to come together actually a lot at the moment. So sort of hold hands, walking together, holding hands, all of us. And that's interesting, isn't it? And and the final thoughts from the creator beings are saying, please take this opportunity seriously. This is beyond this lifetime an opportunity. When you pass over and you greet and meet all of your mentors and beloveds, once you pass over, this is the truth, you will be a different soul. Your capability as a soul, your capability to hold light will be higher. And that is noted by all your mentors when you return after this lifetime. Because the energy work, the clearing is not connected to this lifetime. It's connected to multiple soul existences and lifetimes. So the clearing is to lighten your soul, to elevate your soul, to strengthen your soul, and to empower your soul. Yeah. And to hold so that your soul holds higher, more empowered light, and that what's the word? It's beyond this moment, and it's beyond this lifetime. That level of change in your soul, quotient and power and freedom. So it's an investment.
Yes.
It's an investment in beyond this lifetime. So they just wanted to make sure everybody understood that. Money in the bank, right? It's an investment
in your soul.
The time you spend under the knife, under the laser beams of these creator beings. You're moving higher in power. And they use the word power just really quickly in capability. And they will use that. They will get you to work in different roles once you pass over because of that level of light and power of your soul. Just mentioning.
So come and get some laser light activity for your soul and feel your light. This is really important work and it will change our world, ripple out to our world. This is how we make that change. It begins within us first, and we have incredible assistance. Alicia, thank you for this time today. And thank you all hearts for being here. We love you. And we are so grateful for your presence and your light on the planet. Thank you for doing all that you do. Alicia, thank you for your giant heart and your tireless efforts on bringing forward the work of the creator beings. Thank you.
Thanks,
Namaste.
Lorraine.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
This has been a presentation of New Earth One Network, your home for New Earth living. Access information, education, and videos on living from the heart in unity consciousness. Visit newearth1.com.